And our final main topic of the day comes to us from our good friend Rick Markette, who writes, do you think Endgame will still be in theaters when Far From Home comes out? Oh, yeah, it will. And will that cause a bump in Endgame's numbers similar to the bump Captain Marvel got when Endgame came out? Could that allow it to catch Avatar? All right, thanks a lot for the question, man. And, actually, this is a topic that has come up a number of times over the last number of weeks. The basic idea is this. Understanding our baseline context, Avatar is still ahead of Avengers Endgame by about $45 million, which is surprising to a lot of people, understandably, especially with the opening that Endgame had. So the question has been, since Captain Marvel experienced a bit of a bump late into its run with Endgame coming out, could we see the same phenomena happen with Endgame with Spider-Man coming out? I mean, could the fact that we have Spider-Man coming out now reinvigorate people to rush back into the theaters just before they see Spider-Man Far From Home and go see Endgame again? And could that be enough, now apparently combined with the fact that you're going to get a deleted scene in the post-credits? Is that going to be enough to motivate a lot of people to rush back into the theaters? And it's worth bringing up again now because now we're like 2 weeks away from Spider-Man Far From Home coming out. We're actually less than 2 weeks away from Spider-Man Far From Home coming out. So it makes the question, especially now that we know that they're going to be tagging on this post-credit stuff with Endgame as well. Could this be enough to bump it over the edge? I've got a couple thoughts on this, Rob, that some people will or will not like, depending on what their desired outcome is. First of all, 45 million is still a pretty big number.
Yeah.
That's a big number. And while I believe there are definitely going to be some people that will want to go, that maybe weren't planning on seeing Endgame again, that may go back to the theaters, buy another $15 ticket, sit through a 3-hour movie so they can watch a 90-second post-credit scene and whatever, probably a really nice, I'm sure it's going to be really high class, Stan Lee tribute and one or two other little things. But $45 million worth of people? I don't know. Now you combine that with the fact of the bump. Here's what I've always said is the problem with that theory. When Endgame was coming out, you had Captain Marvel that was a completely brand new character. It does have tie-ins to Endgame, but you had almost $3 billion worth of people that were waiting for Endgame. So to prep for Endgame, yeah, maybe go and see that Captain Marvel movie that not everybody had already seen. Captain Marvel hadn't yet crossed $1 billion, I don't think, at that point. So there was still a bunch of people who had not seen Captain Marvel by the time Endgame was coming out. So it's like, hey, now's as good a time as any. Get back out there, go see Captain Marvel. Then we roll into Endgame. With Endgame, with Spider-Man Far From Home coming out, see, to me, it's a bit of a different story. To me, it's a little bit of a reverse situation. Because unlike Captain Marvel, where clearly not everybody had seen it yet, everybody's seen Endgame. Everybody who is remotely interested in Endgame has seen Endgame already. So that's already a big prime difference. The other thing of that was we're going into a movie that doesn't have $3 billion worth of people chomping at the bit to go see. I think at best, I believe Spider-Man Far From Home can be a $1 billion film, but it's not going to be a $2 billion film. It's not going to be a $3 billion film, So you've basically got the Captain Marvel Endgame scenario, but completely reversed. So my guess right now, Rob, is that while it is absolutely possible that the combination of these post-credit scenes, which we talked about earlier in the show, with the fact that Spider-Man Far From Home is coming, I think it's possible to create enough momentum right now to maybe conceivably get Endgame that final $45 million it needs to make, but I don't think it will. I think Spider-Man Far From Home is going to come out, and I think Avengers Endgame will still be short of Avatar, but I wouldn't put money on that. I think it is possible, but my guess right now won't be enough to do it. Rob, you're with the post-credit scene, with Far From Home, particularly with the Far From Home thing giving it a bump. Do you see Endgame getting enough of a bump to cross that extra $45 million to finally catch Avatar?
Well, here's the thing. Just sitting on the show, I just realized I think what they're going to put at the end of Endgame, because they've talked about what it is. One of the many things they said, they filmed Michael Pena as his character from Ant-Man.
I've heard about that.
telling the whole story of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if they do it in such a way, if they didn't just shoot him, but if they got the characters back and somehow when he mouths their dialogue, if they add that and a deleted scene, because they did say there's a deleted scene, there's a nice tribute or whatever, I'll bet they finally figured out how to repurpose this. They're going to put that in. And if they gave us, say, 10 minutes of footage, a deleted scene, a tribute, and maybe that Michael Pena business or whatever it is, that might be worth enough to get people. I would go and see that just because I'd love to see it in a theater. And the fact that you have Spider-Man Far From Home coming out, if they had something that, not just a deleted scene, but a little taste of what was to come, a little preview of what they might tell us in San Diego, something that got us excited where like, oh, like right now I don't have to go see Endgame. Spider-Man Far From Home does not have any real story tie other than the fact that, well, Tony Stark's dead. There's nothing from the storyline that I need to, like, I get it, I understand. Like, post-credit sequences were always setting up something else. We know we're not getting a true post-credit sequence, but if they do that Michael Pena thing, they show us a deleted scene, whatever it is, whether it's Gamora, whether it's on Vormir with Captain America, whether it's something to do with, who knows? I don't know. It's got to be enough. But the two of those things together, Far From Home and this extra added whatever it is, that could be enough of a bump that everybody who went and saw it goes to see it again. Everybody that went and saw it multiple times, like I'm one of those idiots. So are you. We see these movies. How many times? I saw it 4 times total.
I saw it 4.
So yeah, we're idiots, dude. And we're not idiots. We love this
fans.
stuff. We're fans. I would go back and see this again. Far From Home wasn't going to do it for me. But the combination of Far From Home and this stuff, I think together, that's a frothy mix. That's a tasty beverage, John. Tasty beverage. But I don't know, is it $45 million worth of tasty beverage?
And it's an expensive tasty beverage because to get that little tasty beverage, I got to pay $15-16 and go sit through another 3 hours and take another entire night for 5 minutes of more footage of something cute that I will see later on.
But
I don't know. I'm not saying definitively. I'm just saying I don't know.
Back in the day, I went and saw when they said they were going to have this trailer for The Empire Strikes Back. They re-released Star Wars, I want to say in '79, and basically that trailer was animated photos of the cast.
Yeah.
They showed like a little
But
snippet
that was
of
79 in a very different era.
But I was like, oh my, any glimpse to see a sequel, I'm like, I'm going to go. And if they're going to show, it depends what they show. I think it depends what they show. But, dude, I don't know, man.
I don't know. A 3-hour movie and another $15 ticket for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes of post-credit. It's questionable. See, that's why I'm not saying...
But the Michael Pena thing, I would go see.
But that's going to pop up on YouTube 5 minutes after it's in theater.
I know.
But that's why I'm not willing to say it definitely won't do that 45, because I think you're right. I think there are people who are going to do that, but I also think there are a lot of people that are thinking like me. They're going to be, I'm not going to spend another $15 and 3 hours just to see 5 or 6. But I think there are people who will. Will it be enough to do 45? I don't think it will, but it very well could. It's an interesting thing that we've never really seen something like this.
No, that's why it's new.
It's interesting.
Leave it to Marvel. Leave it
Yes.
to Marvel.
All right, guys, listen, what do you guys think about all that? Are you going to rush back out to the theater as a part of the Far From Home, preparation, that kind of stuff? Maybe a little bit of the post-credit stuff will be a part of the influence? Or you're like, nah, I've already seen the movie 12 times, man. I'm good. What do you guys think? Do you think it'll be enough to cross that extra $45 million? Because remember, most movies don't make $45 million domestically. So, will it? Jump down in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this unfolds. I'm actually very, very excited about this. It's going to be really cool to see how this kind of unwinds.